Funny, I thought your main mission was to save just Fua. A little consistency is all I ask for, Hikaru. Continuing right where we left off last week, the 13 princes had managed to decimate both the Star Palace and the Hoshizora Alliance while also discarding her own forces. Luckily, the Precure and I-1 managed to rescue their former adversaries. Prunesu, understandably, seeing as how the fate of the universe was hanging in the balance, tried to interrogate them on where the Snake Lady had taken the princesses and Fua. Unfortunately, even they didn't know exactly where their HQ was since they had only ever used Warpost to go to and from it. At said HQ, the Ophiuchus princess began making her final preparations for her double finger snap ritual. In order to do so, she needed to tear down the place her minions had once called home. So let me get this straight. Just on a whim, this lady fires her entire workforce and doesn't even let them clear out their workspaces? Yeah, lady, you deserve to be reported to the Bear Business Bureau. Thankfully, the research that Toppa had commissioned on Tenjo's home planet a few episodes back had managed to pinpoint the HQ's coordinates. It would take them a few jumps to get there, I'm guessing because it's not healthy to try and do it all at once, thus giving our heroines a little time to interact with their respective rivals. Yeah, I'm still kind of iffy on some of these pairings. Still, I will admit, these aren't bad interactions with the former antagonists, like this little bit of Hikaru and Lala trying to share a snack with Capard. Too easy. Yeah, obviously, this is meant to be an ironic echo back to Lala and Hikaru's first meeting. Though I do question whether or not it's a good idea to give the aquatic alien a snack that's normally coated in salt. Other nice interactions included Tenjo thanking Elena for saving her underlings, Madoka declaring to Galogre that she had resolved to keep moving forward, and my personal favorite interaction between Yuri and I-1.
Hey! You two should kiss!
They eventually arrived at the enemy's stronghold. Everyone, Notarators and Precure alike, suited up and began their march to the final battlefield. The Ophiuchus did launch a defensive, but they were ready with a ton of still frames and really poor animation. Yeah, I think I can guess where this week's animation budget went. Honestly, we're near the end of this series, and I'm getting tired of critiquing these awful fights, so here's a clip from Gurren Lagann. You're welcome. I'll give them this, I do legit like seeing the former Notarators fighting the good fight and even volunteering to hold off the Space Gorgon Snicks. That is not an easy task, as anyone who has watched the FGO anime can attest. With that, the Precure made their way to the Ophiuchus and her captives. You know what? Never mind, I won't report you to the Bear Business Bureau. Thus, the Precure used the power of their twinkle imagination to perform shinier versions of their old attacks. So, yeah, again, par for the course for fights in this series, but yet it actually kind of worked this time and they rescued Fua. Well, okay, it looks all good, though one question, did anyone remember to double tap her? Well, okay, even if they did, it wouldn't have made any difference considering that her powers came from the same source. In fact, as we soon learned, a lot of things originated from the princesses. Apparently, along with this universe's equivalent of the Big Bang, the princesses had also granted imagination to all living beings across the known universe, hoping to see them use it in wonderful and prosperous ways. So, when you guys are talking about imagination, you're actually talking about cognitive thought? I mean, I realize that term is nowhere near as marketable, but come on, did you really have to keep saying that word ad nauseum? And much like Zeus hating Prometheus for giving fire back to the mortals, the Ophiuchus was against giving cognitive thought to the universe, believing that it could be misused and disturb the proper order they had worked so hard to maintain. And, to be fair, she wasn't wrong, as the Notarators would later prove. However, they assured her that if anything should get really bad, they could just leave in the hands of the Precure. I guess that was like the original term for the legendary warriors we're currently watching. Understandably, Ophiuchus wasn't convinced by what they were trying to sell, and rather than trying to work things out, they all decided to just seal her away. So, yeah, even though she did bring up some good arguments, the Ophiuchus' fellow deities didn't hear her out. thus pretty much creating their own worst enemy in the process.
Man! The gods stink!
Prunes didn't believe her story at first, but then she pointed out how every planet, in this universe at least, seemed to share memories of the constellations of the zodiac. Yeah, just gotta ignore the fact that many planets wouldn't be able to see the exact same constellations as us, considering that the universe is a tad bit on the big side, and there's quite a few stars here and there and all that. She then went on to explain how Fua was the container for the powers of the star pens, as if we hadn't heard that a million times by now. To be exact, she was meant to contain the 50% of the princess's power they had left after sharing their imagination across the universe. Not exactly sure why they chose to make the container sentient as opposed to, say, an actual container like Tupperware or something. I guess they just really want to sell them toys. In any case, the Ophiuchus needed the power of her former comrades to reset the universe. Meanwhile, the princesses wanted to use Fua and the Twinkle Imagination to permanently defeat the Ophiuchus this time. Doing so would also mean Fua would fade away as well, returning to being just a part of the Star Palace. Alright, it's admittedly a little morally questionable, but if you could stop this omnicidal sociopath, then I think it would be worth it, and oh great, she's hesitating, isn't she? Yeah, not only does Hikaru hesitate at the thought of parting ways with her little plushie, she also hesitated at the idea of erasing this lady, whom, I remind you, already has a body count at least in the billions, if not much more. Yeah, what was that thing Mr. Spock and Kirk once said?
The needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
I think my biggest problem with this series, since the early episodes really, has been its inability to choose whether it wants to be an epic space opera with the fate of the universe at stake, or your standard magical girl anime. In other shows with much lower stakes, I might understand Hikaru's distress, but in this situation, she has officially become the universe's most indecisive superheroine ever. And because of that, Ophiuchus managed to throw a black hole at them. Thankfully, someone took the initiative from her, as Fua, using the power of the princesses and the Precure, defeating the Ophiuchus, but also perishing in the process. Don't mind me, I'm just, getting ready for a party later. With that, the episode ended with the Ophiuchus seemingly defeated, but Hikaru had to live with the fact that Fua may be gone forever. So, yeah, I see this as an absolute win. I'll be honest, from a purely storytelling standpoint, this was perfectly fine. I mean, it gave us some interesting last-minute world building and all that, and while some of the twists were predictable, they weren't bad. It's just as has always been the case with this series, the execution was off, from the awful fights to just lacking a lot of necessary build-up for what's supposed to be a big epic conclusion to the series. For me, the highlight of this episode was the tale of the Star Princesses. While I did make fun of their questionable choices, I did like the sort of mythical aspect to the tale, with the deities arguing whether or not to give us lowly mortals gifts we might not deserve, hence why I brought up the Prometheus comparison. I also really liked the moral quandary that results from it. While I'm still not totally sold on calling it imagination, as I'd argue that's more of a byproduct of cognitive thought, I do like how through the heroes and villains of the show, we've seen how it can be used in the best and worst of ways, giving credence to both sides. I just wished I was a little more invested in said heroes and villains. While the interactions with the Notaires were nice on their own, when accounting for the series at large, it's hard to call these fleshed out relationships, as this show has always struggled with juggling many aspects of itself. This of course includes stuff like, what exact genre does it want to fall into? Does this show want to be a more lighthearted magical girl anime with a deity that has already smited countless lives? Unclear elements like this have made it hard to get invested with the characters, especially our designated lead. I get the feeling I might know how the series ends, but no matter what, I also get the feeling I'm going to be disappointed. I'm almost done with my review of the Star Twinkle movie, so look forward to that video coming out either Monday or Tuesday. I'll tell you right now, I got a lot more entertainment out of that film than anything out of this final arc so far. Still, do check it out, as I do consider it to be a legit good standalone Precure film with the Tanakas once again working their magic, much like what they did with Gold Princess. Look forward to it, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and if you'll excuse me, I think I need to get a few more drinks. Maybe I should get a little bit of the bubbly.